News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KVNU.
Time to take a look at this hour's news headlines here on KVNU. I'm J.D. Walker. Family and friends gathered Saturday to bid farewell to Alan Osmond, the leader of the original Osmond Brothers singing group, who died on April 20th at age 76. Osmond led the internationally renowned family band featuring the brothers Wayne, Merle, Jay, and Donnie. He retired from performing in 1987 following an MS diagnosis, but remained deeply involved in entertainment, notably helping produce Provo's Stadium of Fire. Memorial service began in Orem before a final stop in Spanish Fork. Osmond's 8 sons paid tribute to their father's musical legacy and personal legacy. Nathan Osmond said Alan always reminded them it's not who you are, but who you become that ultimately matters. Former colleague Eric Krug recalled Osmond's enduring passion for creating spectacular events, noting his lifelong love of giving audiences a wow experience. In other news, a driver was airlifted to a regional trauma center after being ejected from a vehicle during a rollover crash on Interstate 15 on Saturday. The Tremonton Fire Department responded to multiple 911 calls shortly before 4 p.m., reporting a crash in the northbound lanes near mile marker 376. Crews found a heavily damaged vehicle with several occupants. Bystanders rendered first aid to the ejected driver until paramedics assumed care. Emergency personnel transported the driver to a local helipad where a medical helicopter completed the transport to a trauma center. Authorities have not released the driver's current condition or detailed the severity of injuries sustained by other occupants. No other vehicles were involved. The cause of the crash remains under investigation. Tremonton fire officials thank multiple local and county agencies for their coordinated assistance at the scene. And then finally, an Ogden second grade teacher has reached the quarterfinals of the nationwide competition to name America's favorite teacher, placing her in the top 1% of candidates. Julie Alavino, an educator at Ogden Preparatory Academy, advanced from the initial pool of 78,000 teachers. She is now seeking community support through daily online voting, which remains open until May 21st. The grand prize includes $25,000 in cash, a trip to Hawaii, a feature in Reader's Digest, and a school assembly hosted by Bill Nye. Alavino said for her, this contest is about bringing Bill Nye, the science guy, to their school and showing their low-income students that dreams are possible. She continues, that says, who emphasizes hands-on learning and leadership in the classroom, says she plans on using the portion of the prize money to pay her medical bills. She also intends to assist students by purchasing uniforms, classroom supplies, as well as clearing their lunch balances and library fines. The contest winner will be announced in early June. Bell Sculpt bringing you a look at this hour. Treatments are quick with minimal downtime. Call their bountiful office, 801-335-5388, or go to bellsculpt.fm. Isolated and thunderstorms and showers throughout the day today, otherwise mostly sunny and getting up to 73. Just a slight chance of those showers at 20%. Tonight, scattered showers and thunderstorms with an overnight low of 43, and Tuesday going to be a wet one. Scattered thunderstorms and showers, a high of 66. It looks like we'll get about a quarter of an inch of rain. That's been a look at this hour's news headlines here on KVNU. I'm J.D. Walker.
Did you know you can cut your Rocky Mountain power bill by 40 to 50% without a single solar panel? With the new time of use rates, power is 4.5 times more expensive in the evening, but cheap during the day. At Greenbox Solar, we install smart home batteries that charge up when electricity is cheap, then power your home during peak hours. Solar is totally optional and can be added in the future, but savings are guaranteed. Drop by Greenbox Solar's showroom in South Logan to see the hardware for yourself. Visit our website at poweredbygreenbox.com.
This is Jordan with Primrose Home Care and Hospice, and I'm here with Barbara. Barbara, how did you become acquainted with Primrose?
I had been trying to get another company to come and help me, and I had waited about 2 weeks, and I needed a bath. My neighbor suggested that she would make a few phone calls, and that very afternoon, Mark Stokes was sitting in my front room, and he said, "What do you need?"
Primrose Home Care and Hospice. We're your home team.
Make laundry a snap with the large load washers and dryers at Mount Logan Laundry. Rather than 8 to 10 loads at home, get the job done in 1 or 2 with their 55 or 80-pound washers and 80-pound dryers that are perfect for sleeping bags, comforters, and other big items. Mount Logan Laundry has free Wi-Fi and drop-off service, plus they're open until midnight. Mount Logan Laundry really is the cleanest spot in town. Find them at 5th East and 9th North in Logan or in Brigham City on the corner of 1st East and 7th South.
At Adams Wealth Advisors, they believe that successful wealth management is all about planning. And whether you've done a lot of planning or a little, Adams Wealth Advisors is here to help. If you're transitioning a business, searching for the most up-to-date tax strategies, need help managing investments, or need help with estate planning, Adams Wealth Advisors has your back. Visit AdamsWealthAdvisors.com. That's AdamsWealthAdvisors.com for more information or to schedule an appointment.
When something goes wrong at your home, you want someone you can trust, not a stranger from out of town. Canyon Plumbing and Heating has been Cache Valley's locally owned plumber since 2005. Our licensed technicians show up fast, treat your home with respect, and give you honest answers. From Preston to Avon and everywhere in between, we're your neighbors, and we're here to help. Call Canyon Plumbing and Heating at 435-881-6952 because home should always feel like home.
KVNU's For the People with Jason Williams and Bill Walter.
And it is Utah known as the fraud capital of the world. Not because we have more people committing fraud, but because we have so many people falling for it.
Going beneath the headlines and connecting you to the newsmakers.
The radio is a great way to get the word out to a lot of people in an emergency. So we thank you for your help and being a partner with us.
For the People on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM, 102.1 FM, online at 610kvnu.com, and on the KVNU mobile app.
Welcome to KVNU's For the People. It is Monday, May 4th. Nerds, May the 4th be with you. We'll talk about Star Wars. Don't worry. We can't do a May 4th without it, right? We have so much to get to today. AI in the news throughout the state of Utah for more than a week now after a broad set of eyeballs was placed on the issue when more than 80 people showed up to a Box Elder County Commission meeting 1 week ago. Packed the commission room, overflow into the hallways. The reason for this, they were showing up in protest of what they felt was a rush job on a proposed AI data center. Some 40,000 acres of land being gobbled up for this. Potentially tens, if not millions of thousands of gallons of water. A lot of questions about electricity. Would it pull from the grid or will it contribute to the grid as the proposed plan, as of now, appears to be the construction of an actual natural gas-powered power plant inside the AI data center to run the center. This is a lot. And residents in Box Elder felt that they hadn't been provided with enough opportunities to weigh in, offer feedback, and get information about the project. Over the weekend and throughout last week, that's what we found out as a state, that there were a lot of questions that didn't have answers. One of the biggest, for example, water usage. I mean, this will be, for all intents and purposes, upstream from the Great Salt Lake, right? We're trying to save the Great Salt Lake. Being upstream from the Great Salt Lake, reasonable question. What happens to all the water that is used to cool this massive data center once it's constructed? There are some systems in which water is evaporated and lost into the atmosphere. Other systems are known as closed-loop systems, where the water is recycled, cooled, and then heated up again, and then cooled, and then heated up again, with a much smaller percentage of water lost to evaporation, but still some. And there are other systems that literally just pump the superheated water back down into the aquifer, which, according to Utah State University Climate Center scientists, no one really knows what the effect of that is long term, but we're doing it in some areas. Not here in Utah yet. Anyway, that's just one example of one of the questions that people reasonably brought up and said, we need an answer to these questions. We're talking emissions. We're talking a lot of water usage. We're talking 48,000 acres of land. For perspective on that, the city of Logan here in Cache Valley, about 11,000 acres. So, yeah, this is basically a big city that would be built out in Snowville for a private company. They would tap into an existing natural gas line and use that tap to power turbines to heat water, I assume, at least. I see we don't know. But I assume to heat water for steam to turn turbines that would generate 9 gigawatts of power, 3 times what the state of Utah uses. And it would run this data center. Additional concerns that have been brought to light since all of this came to, again, a broader spotlight. Hats off to residents of Box Elder County who, as I understand it, have been tracking this one for a couple of weeks now. But this is, for most of the state of Utah, news to us since last Monday. Over the weekend, we learned that there is also concern. Researchers at both Utah State University and the USU Climate Center, which informs the state legislature officially, and researchers at the University of Utah have also spoken with the media over the weekend and reported that what they're concerned about is that there is growing evidence where data centers have already been constructed on this scale, large data centers. There is concern that they generate their own little mini heat dome over the building. That's how hot all the processing that goes on inside gets. Can raise the temperature, they believe, 1, 2, sometimes even 3 degrees. That doesn't sound like a lot, but it is enough to create a mini heat dome. And if you remember from our drought talk here on the show over the last several years, when we have seen all the storms skirt around us and head on down to flood Texas, where the water doesn't even seep into the ground, that is caused by a heat dome, a much larger multi-state heat dome in that scenario. But it is enough to kind of push storms around it with that high and low pressure mix. There is concern that a data center of this size could actually have that effect. And what effect that would be, no one really knows. Does that mean that storms headed through Box Elder would instead be kind of pushed up into Cache Valley or pushed around and down to the south end of the Wasatch Front entirely? Would it be enough to push them up into the Idaho? Well, Dr. Robert Davies at the USU Climate Center said, we don't know. Honestly, this is all so new. So I bring this up not to say that we should be. I actually agree with the governor. You'll hear his comments during his monthly news conference last week, coming up in hour 2 of today's show. But a little spoiler, the governor basically said to the effect, if we can't build it there, out in the middle of nowhere, Snowville, he means, we can't build it anywhere in this state. And these are going to get built. And they create jobs, the governor said. Now, that's, by the way, another question that people want answers to, and we don't have. How many jobs are we talking? Some of the smaller data centers here in Utah, I did some digging, generate a few hundred, even a few thousand jobs during their construction. But once they're up and running, one data center here in Utah employs 17 people. Now, obviously, this one's much larger. I did some digging on that as well and found some media reports out of Nevada and California where similar sized, now, to be honest with you, there aren't a lot this size to compare it to. So I can't say for sure, but similar sized have same story, generated, a few thousand jobs during construction and initial setup. But once things are up and running, some of them were only employing about 150 to 200 people. Now, that's not nothing in Box Elder County. 150 to 200 new jobs in Box Elder County, not nothing at all. Don't get me wrong. But is it enough to warrant the trade-off? And this is without even getting into the really cozy tax incentives that are part of this proposed deal as well. One that would allow the developer, the owner and operator, to basically recoup about 80% of all tax revenue collected, property taxes and everything in between. Meaning that's a lot of revenue that wouldn't be going back to the counties and the cities in the state. So, yeah, there are so many legitimate questions around this. I want to point everybody to a couple of different links that I've posted on our Facebook page that you can actually read through. Again, the public hearing is happening as we speak. This is an official county commission meeting in Box Elder County with representatives of, and we'll be talking more about this, but representatives of an organization called MIDA. And we'll talk a little bit in just a second about what MIDA is, because that's become a big question for a lot of people. Why is this quasi-state agency that actually is run by the Pentagon, calling the shots? So we'll get to that. Put a pin in that one. In this proposal, in general, the data center itself, what people, I think, again, are raising legitimate issues about, it is a project that says supporters say would generate about 2,000 jobs. Again, after construction ends, they're saying. But people are, I think, in a healthy way skeptical. So Moving on from that, what is MIDA? As this public hearing plays out, again, in Box Elder County right now, county commissioners, representatives of MIDA, I'm assuming some state lawmakers and others having this discussion. And the goal during this meeting today is that action will be taken. They deferred that decision last Monday after the crowd showed up to protest. But this is an official meeting. So I'm guessing some kind of vote will be taking place. When? Who knows? I don't know if this is 1 hour. I doubt it's going to be only an hour. I'll bet 2, maybe 3. But some sort of action will be taken. Maybe they'll punt again and say this needs to go back to the drawing board for more public outreach and public buy-in. That might be a smart decision. Maybe they'll say, no, we're just going to move ahead with it and the public can learn as we do. Maybe they'll scrap the whole thing. But we'll know by tomorrow's show. Also have highlights of the audio of the meeting taking place now on tomorrow's show. Later on, we'll be talking AI more broadly with Congressman Blake Moore. I reached out to him and asked if he'd like to weigh in because he has several AI-related bills pending, and what he's doing at the congressional level kind of gets back more to this whole what is AI, where's it even going, or is it a bubble about to burst, or is it real? And what are some of the dangers of how fast this is all developing? Congressman Moore has a bill that would rein in AI use in toys, and he has some horrifying stories to tell on why he decided to actually introduce this bill. Some things that happened, literally, that should never. So that's coming up later on this hour. So there you have it. Just kind of a big broad. I hope that makes everyone feel like they're up to speed. So the big question that everyone has, what is MIDA? This proposal is coming from this organization called MIDA that is often referred to as a state agency. But yet, commissioners in Box Elder County expressed their own frustration last week, saying they felt like they kind of didn't have a choice when MIDA comes in and says this needs to happen. Why? Well, MIDA stands for Utah's Military Installation Development Authority, MIDA for short. And it's a really unusual type of government entity in that it is, on paper, created by the state legislature, but is created by the state legislature under federal edict. The state legislature has to create this board. And then on top of that, the legislature gets to appoint one person, the governor gets to appoint one person. Everyone else comes from the Pentagon or is appointed by the Pentagon. Or someone in the military industrial complex, as it's known. So it's a military organization. It does not operate here in Utah. But their job is to coordinate in all 50 states projects, developments, infrastructure projects, and more that are military adjacent, if not directly related to military readiness. I hope that makes sense. This is their mission is basically supporting military efforts through infrastructure projects and planning ahead. And it's, by the way, greatly expanded its work. This organization, MIDA, greatly expanded its work over the last 5-6 years, not just here in Utah, everywhere. So the MIDA board has greenlit this multi-billion-dollar hyperscale AI data center project in Box Elder County. As I've said, there's been pushback. Supporters claim a certain number of jobs. The public, I think, smartly is skeptical that those are permanent jobs or just setting it up construction jobs. People have questions about water, about power usage, about emissions from a huge natural gas power plant that would basically be built inside the data center to run it. And also, fiscal impacts, the revenue, the sweet deal that exists in this proposal as writ. So MIDA, formed in 2007, this organization has a team of about 24 employees, the Salt Lake Tribune reports, and an 8-member board, again, with only 1 or 2 of those members actually appointed by the state of Utah. And every state has one of these, by the way. And some examples of some of the projects they've been involved with to date, again, from the Salt Lake Tribune, about 500 acres at Hill Air Force Base that includes an aerospace research park, a hotel, and some leasable retail and office space. It's called Falcon Hill. This was to support work being done at Hill Air Force Base by contractors and more. There is the Grand Hyatt Deer Valley Military Recreation Facility. That was a few thousand acres near the Jordanelle Reservoir. And that also was part of a project that expanded Deer Valley Ski Resort's East Village as well. I don't know why. There is the already existent Utah Data Center, which was about 250 acres at Camp Williams. That's right on the border of Salt Lake and Utah counties, Bluffdale area. There's a data center there now, much smaller than what we're talking about here. 250 acres, not 40,000 like they're talking about here in Box Elder County. The Dugway Proving Ground. This is a U.S. Army facility originally put together in the 1940s to test chemical weapons. And MIDA has worked to improve road networks, power grids, sewer, and more, and the general transportation environment for this proving ground area. That fits into their mission. And land that actually surrounds the Sundance Mountain Resort further south, where MIDA actually helped to build a new lodge and inn called the Mountain Veteran Program. So these are just, and they do work with the National Guard as well. MIDA basically oversees the our cities like to do these master plans, these long-term planning efforts where they get public input. MIDA does the same thing for the Utah National Guard, but without the public input. It's just military input, and they have these comprehensive long-term planning master plans for all 27 Utah National Guard controlled properties in the state. So, and again, they function in the areas that they've set up. They function as the local government. So that's another concern with this 40,000 acres where MIDA is involved, and there's a private developer and investor behind the project itself. Nobody knows, will the land be purchased by the developer and the private owner? Will it be leased from the current landowners? Is the U.S. government buying it and then leasing it to the developers of the data center, the people who will make money off of this when it's set up? No one knows, but these are all possible options because MIDA does effectively serve as the local government for the areas that I just mentioned. The Mountain View Veteran Program location at Sundance Mountain Resort, the land under the Camp Williams land under the Utah Data Center in Bluffdale, one that already exists, much smaller. The Grand Hyatt Deer Valley and Deer Valley Ski Resort, military facilities there, recreational facilities, and more. And the Aerospace Research Park just outside of Hill Air Force Base. MIDA basically supersedes local and state government on those lands. So that's a legitimate question around this, too. Is that what's going to happen here? The agency does have tax and tax incentive powers. They can entice developers, as they've done with this proposed project in Box Elder, to come in and build, just like the state legislature could. But again, quasi-state government agency. They can offer rebates on property taxes. They can set property tax levels. They can assess the value of property independent of the county, the cities, and the state of Utah. So that's basically how MIDA works. And for those, this is a legitimate question too. A lot of people asking, why does MIDA even have a role here? This is a private, this is a millionaire from Shark Tank, Mr. Wonderful, he calls himself, that's behind this project. And this will be, as we understand it, at least right now, privately owned and operated, meaning someone's making money off of this, and it could be leased to Google. And I guarantee one this large is going to be, when you see the word hyperscale, that means you're going to be leasing it to the biggies, Google, Amazon, MIDA, for processing and storage, basically. That's what a data center is all about. But with MIDA involved, there obviously has to be a military angle. The general consensus is that this is just the overall nationwide push to beat China in the AI arms race. There's another valid question about that. Are we even really in an AI arms race? Or again, is this just an investor-induced bubble? And we don't know yet. So a lot of questions around all of this. So the question, to answer the final question here, on all of this. Why is MIDA involved? Why are they working? Why wasn't this Box Elder County and the landowners talking to a developer that wanted to buy the land and build a data center? That's normally how this would work, right? How does the military get involved through this kind of quasi-state agency, MIDA? The answer to that basically is that the area would include a section of the area where this hyperscale project would be built. The Stratos data center project, they're calling it. It would include a section of the Utah Test and Training Range. And the project would also be associated with the full training range, plus Hill Air Force Base, Falcon Hill, National Guard properties, and more. That means that the revenue MIDA receives from the project can go to those other areas. It doesn't go back in, it doesn't have to go back into the county or the city as a traditional development deal would. This can be spent by MIDA on their other areas in any way they choose. So, yeah. Salt Lake Tribune spoke with Hillary Venable, project area director for Falcon Hill, and she told them that the Box Elder County Commission meeting a week ago from today that kind of brought all this into a statewide spotlight, that State Land Use Authority receives several project proposals daily, and MIDA is often the proposer on that. So there's a school trust lands tie in here as well. Complicated stuff, huh? All right. Coming up again this on the show today, you're going to hear from Governor Cox on this issue. You're also going to hear from him on drought, some bad news from him during the his media availability last week. And on the other side of the news, you're going to hear from Congressman Blake Moore, not on this project specifically, although we'll ask him his opinion, but on his AI-related bills and whether he believes this is a bubble about to burst or something that, are we actually in an arms race with China? That's next here on KVNU Logan after this look at the news with KVNU's Will Feel Right.
Time to take a look at this hour's news headlines here on KVNU. I'm J.D. Walker. A 20-year-old Brigham City man is being held without bail after being charged with 10 counts of second-degree felony sexual exploitation of a minor. Kyler Yoder Gulliver was arrested Wednesday after an FBI child exploitation task force investigation revealed he allegedly used a peer-to-peer network to share and obtain child sexual abuse material. According to charging documents, an undercover agent connected to a device on the network sharing over 500 files depicted of sexual abuse of children and animals. Investigators tracked the IP to Glover's residence. Law enforcement served a search warrant seizing multiple electronics. Police say Gulliver confessed during an interview to using software to download the illicit content. Investigators confirmed finding folders of explicit videos depicting very young children on the tablet. Glover was booked into Box Elder County Jail. In other news, a 19-year-old Smithfield man was arraigned Friday on allegations he sexually assaulted and unlawfully detained a woman in a Nibley Church parking lot last month. J.C. Owen Hoyt appeared via web conference in Logan's 1st District Court. He faced 3 felony counts of forcible sexual abuse and 1 count of aggravated kidnapping. Judge Spencer Wall set the bail at $35,000 and ordered him to have no contact with the accuser. According to court documents, the investigation began March 23rd after the victim's father contacted deputies. The woman reported meeting Holt on social media before attending a church event. Afterwards, in her vehicle, Holt allegedly forced unwanted sexual contact and placed her hand on his genitals, ignoring her pleas to stop. She stated she feared resisting because Hoyt claimed he carried 4 knives. Police said Hoyt later apologized in text messages, admitting he took it too far and returns to court on May 11th. And finally, city officials are inviting Logan residents to celebrate America's 250th anniversary by participating in a statewide app-based discovery hunt. Through the Goose Chase app, the Let Freedom Ring 250 Discovery Hunt features a personalized hub for Cache Valley. The initiative encourages families to explore local landmarks, encourage their community, and learn about Utah's role in American history. Logan Parks and Recreation Department spokesperson Jilly Cook said the local hub provides specialized challenges unique to the area. Organizers say that the gamified experience designed to strengthen neighborhood social fabrics and build family bonds through accessible shared activities. To participate, residents can download the Goose Chase app and select Find Your Experience. Enter the code Freedom250LC, and the hunt includes visits to various local businesses and organizations offering rewards for participation. More information is available at loganutah.gov. That's loganutah.gov. Valley Recycling bringing you a quick look at weather. Bring it in. Cash for aluminum, copper, steel. You'll get cash on the spot. Bring it in to 145 North 10th West for Logan Recycling. Chance of showers and thunderstorms is 20% throughout the day today. Otherwise, we're going to see mostly sunny skies and 73. Tonight, some scattered showers and thunderstorms, getting mostly cloudy and 43, leading to a wet day on Tuesday. We're going to see a 70% chance of showers and possibly up to a quarter inch of rain with scattered showers and thunderstorms. That's been a look at this hour's news headlines here on KVNU. I'm J.D. Walker.
ABC News, I'm Mike Dubusky. Iran has stepped up attacks around the Strait of Hormuz, with the United Arab Emirates now saying it's been intercepting Iranian drones and missiles today. A South Korean commercial ship has also reportedly taken fire. President Trump weighing in on the conflict earlier today, saying Iran hasn't broken the ceasefire.
Can't let them have a nuclear weapon, or you'd have problems like nobody would believe. And it's going very well.
Today also marks the first day of Project Freedom, an effort by the Trump administration to have the U.S. military escort commercial ships through the strait. It's all had a big impact on oil prices, with the average price for a barrel of oil spiking nearly 6% today. In Washington, D.C., the U.S. Secret Service says agents exchanged gunfire with a suspicious person carrying a weapon near the National Mall. The alleged gunman is now in the hospital after being shot by agents. A bystander was also injured. This is ABC News.
Bringing Wall Street to Main Street. From your local experts in downtown Logan, this is the Adams Wealth Advisors Market Report.
Good afternoon. This is Mitch Green with Adams Wealth Advisors. After a fresh week of finally being able to focus our attention elsewhere, Iran has once again grabbed the headlines as the geopolitical situation intensified. A new initiative called Project Freedom, aimed at guiding stranded ships out of the Strait of Hormuz, was announced on Sunday in a post on Truth Social. In response, Iran warned that it would use force if American ships were to sail into the strait. Reportedly, shots have been fired and both sides have claimed success while denying the other's account. Unfortunately, verifying the actual events remains a difficult task for news agencies. The market did not respond well to the news and retreated across nearly all major asset classes. Stocks ended the day moderately lower. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 557 points to 48,942. The Nasdaq lost only 0.21%, closing at 27,652, thanks to its heavy exposure to technology, which was the only sector outside of energy to post gains today. The S&P 500 declined 0.41% to 7,201. The Treasury market also reacted sharply as inflation concerns reemerged. Both the U.S. 5-year and 10-year benchmark yields rose by 6 basis points to 4.08% and 4.44%, respectively. Gold followed suit, slumping to nearly the $4,500 mark. Today's economic data showed a significant uptick in factory orders, likely supported by the ongoing AI investment boom as well as increased military spending. Service sector surveys will also be released tomorrow, along with employment and real estate related data. The U.S. trade balance for March is also about to be published. As the world navigates these volatile circumstances, Adams Wealth Advisors will continue to keep you informed.
That's your update from Adams Wealth Advisors, guiding your financial future one day at a time. For personalized help planning yours, reach out to us at 435-752-1702. See you soon, Cache Valley. Advisory services offered through Adams Wealth Management, a registered investment advisor. For important disclosures and more information, visit adamswealthadvisors.com.
Spring is when everything starts to bloom again, including our confidence. At Bell Sculpt, we help women and men explore body contouring procedures designed around their goals. Moms, you've spent years putting everyone else first. It's time to take a moment for yourself. A Bell Sculpt consultation is completely free and zero pressure. This spring, it's your time to bloom with Bell. Schedule your free consultation today at bellsculpt.fm and enjoy 10% off any procedure from now till the end of May.
There are moments that shape a lifetime, from first plans to first steps, backyard throws to big wins. And for the biggest decisions, who you choose matters. Where life starts, home begins. Bank of Utah Home Loans. Find out how Bank of Utah can serve you by going to bankofutah.com. Bank of Utah is an equal housing lender, member FDIC, NMLS number 422914.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. I say it all the time. We don't get excuse enough to talk about dinosaurs here on this show. Not nearly as often as I would prefer, but not the case today. An announcement recently that Utah State University East and Eastern, I guess, it works either way, and some of the curators and researchers involved with USU Eastern, as well as some of our most iconic dinosaur museums and tourist attractions here in the state, have been recognized in the form of a partnership that is developed that will actually put Utah State University and researchers right in the forefront of the latest in curating and making publicly available everything we don't know already, which is a lot, I've been told by our guest, about dinosaurs, about the Jurassic era, So joining us now to talk about what this means, Josh Lively, who is a curator, official curator with the museum and Utah State University Eastern. Here's what Josh had to tell us about what this big announcement means.
But this is really great for us because being the nearest accredited museum with an actual collection, a paleontological collection, this allows us to build, from this local resource and be able to better share it with our local community as well as visitors that are coming down the Highway 6 corridor, because we are a pretty big stop between Salt Lake and Moab.
Sure. This is, and a big part of this partnership is that there's, so much coming still out of this quarry. As you said, this one site that has supplied so much of what we know about this era and others. But that then, something has to happen with all of that, right? And that's where you come in. As a curator of paleontology, all the researchers that you work with, someone has to take that and make sure that it can be a learning tool for generations to come, and that's not easy, right?
You're absolutely right. From a research standpoint, one of the foundational parts of science is reproducibility. We conduct our studies, whatever it is, physics, chemistry, or in our case, paleontology, and you've got to be able to go back and take those same data and replicate your studies. And, that's really, one of the foundational things about science. And for that to happen, these fossils that are the basis for different research projects, whether it's from this Cleveland Dinosaur Quarry or anywhere else, they have to be available for other researchers to come study. And that's where museum collections come into play. I like to explain it as kind of like a fossil library. The only difference is with a library, you can reprint books. These fossils are all one-of-a-kind data points. So our task as a museum with a collections, the fancy word for that, we serve as a repository for fossils from both federal and state land. The task with us is to basically take care of these fossils forever, in perpetuity. And it's not just for the researchers, though. The thing that folks need to understand is that when there are fossils coming off of public land, we don't own those, the museum. The federal government doesn't own those. Every citizen of the United States owns those fossils. We have a small part of that. So we actually are not just serving researchers, we're serving the American people by taking care of these fossils in perpetuity. So we take that very seriously.
Sure. And this is this is a job that will never be done, right? There will never be a time when you say, all right, everything's out of the quarry. And
you're absolutely right. Yeah. Some smaller quarries, we can, give our blessing. All right, this one's done. We can't find any more bones. This one in particular, though, just keeps going into the hill. It is a massive bone bed. And the beauty in that is that, we've collected a lot of fossils from this site. We collectively being the paleontological enterprise. But there's still more in the ground. And that's why this was actually designated a national monument and a national natural landmark, because folks can actually go to the quarry and see bones in place. Now, it's a challenging management conundrum, because leaving fossils in place opens them up to damage, but even just with the environment, changes in humidity, shrinking and swelling of the clay in the rocks itself can damage the fossils once they're exposed. But it does provide the public with the opportunity to see these fossils in place in the ground, but then also come to our museum and see them prepared and restored in life position in a couple of our exhibits.
This is amazing to see, and I really appreciated that. Having visited, some of the other locations here in Utah, Dinosaur National Park and others, one of my favorite things about the visitor center there at the Cleveland Lloyd Dinosaur Quarry, which is, for those out there, not a very long drive from Provo. If you're looking to add this to your summer escapades, this quarry, you actually could step out on this little platform into what was basically a live paleontology dig. You could actually see what paleontologists do when they go out there and they're unearthing these fossils, and that was fascinating to see, and really kind of drove home what careful work this is.
Oh yeah, that's you're absolutely right, and especially at a quarry like this where the bones are so dense, it really is bone on bone. We're working another site out in eastern Utah right now, where our museum is actually doing the excavating, and it's probably denser. One of the few sites that's where the bones are more densely packed than Cleveland Lloyd, but there aren't many that are more densely packed than Cleveland Lloyd. And one thing that's really neat, off and on, you can actually sometimes see active excavations going on at the quarry. There's a crew that comes from the University of Wisconsin Oshkosh and excavates there most years. They're going to be the Bureau of Land Management is actually going to be replacing the building over the quarry this season, which is why we got all of these fossils. The mitigation company came in ahead of time to collect the fossils where the new building footprint was going to be, and so they weren't destroyed during construction. And so there probably won't be any active excavations this year, but in future years, I think definitely that university, if not the BLM itself, will provide the opportunity for folks to see that active dig, which is a rare thing. Most places the digs are already done, or they're off in very remote places where the general public can't get to.
Sure. Again, speaking with curator of paleontology with USU Eastern, Josh Lively. This comes on the heels of an announcement that Utah State University Eastern Prehistoric Museum is not only going to continue but grow its role in fossil research, and this is through a new collaboration with the Bureau of Land Management. And the focus will be on this massive treasure trove that is the Cleveland Lloyd Dinosaur Quarry and Jurassic National Monument. And this partnership will actually position USU Eastern to be center of all this, housing and preparing the fossils for future research, quarry, the own mitigation projects in the quarry ahead of construction of a new monument, but also making sure the quarry is accessible to researchers for generations to come. And Josh, what is it that? A couple of questions. What is it about USU Eastern's work that got them the spotlight on this one to be chosen as the center point for all of this?
Yeah, so I think one of the advantages we offered, because the BLM did put this up for a contract bid, and I think one of the advantages that we offer is that we are the closest museum to the site itself that already has a paleontological staff. We've got a lab space that we actually just recently renovated. We have a collections facility, and so I think logistically it works for the Bureau of Land Management, especially since the Price Field Office, which is less than a mile away from the museum, is the one that actually manages the national monument out there. But also, I do think they really take their role in the community very seriously. This museum started as a community endeavor over 60 years ago, and really is a place to not just show tourists coming through the area, but locals, the resources that are right here in their backyard. So I think that was, one of the big sort of hidden advantages for the BLM wanting to work with us.
This is amazing stuff. And I should mention, too, that you also drive through some of the most beautiful parts of Utah to get to the quarry and museum. So another reason to make this part of your summer trip if you can, traveling in the state. And Josh Lively, curator of paleontology from Utah State University Eastern. Final question here for you, and the hardest question, because this gets us into the science of, again, this big announcement that USU Eastern Prehistoric Museum would be teaming up with Bureau of Land Management to serve as a center point for curation and collection on this quarry that is still producing and answering questions we didn't even know we needed to ask yet about this era and others. But what is it about the Cleveland Lloyd Dinosaur Quarry and this entire Jurassic National Monument? What is it about this area that makes it such a treasure trove?
It's really a world-renowned site because of how odd it is. It's not just how many fossils come out of this one site, but it's the fact that almost 70% of those fossils are from one dinosaur, Allosaurus. Allosaurus,
the Utah dinosaur, right?
Yeah, it's our state fossil. It is, and that is in part because so many Allosaurus fossils have been excavated from this one hole in the ground, going all the way back to 1928. I think is when the initial excavations started. And think about that though. The top predator in the ecosystem, Allosaurus, makes up 70% of the bones from this one quarry. Now, if you go out in the mountains today or in the desert today, are 75% or 70% of the animals that you see coyotes or wolves or bears? No, you're seeing, rabbits and mule deer and other things. So One of the big questions is, why the heck do we get so many predators at one site? And that's still a question 100 years into excavating in this locality that researchers are still very interested in. So that's one reason why this site is so fantastic, but also because we have so many of one species of animal. We can really start to ask biological questions about Allosaurus, which, again, is our state fossil. Normally there's so many times where when you see a new dinosaur being named, in the news, it might just be based on one individual fossil, one skeleton. And it's hard to look at things like variation and how the animal changed as it grew when you're only working with one example. But in this case, where you've got thousands of bones, everything from babies all the way up to adults in one site, you can really start to think about these as living, breathing animals and ask the question, all right, how did their diet change through life? How did, the musculature across the animal change as it grew? And really the only place on the planet that you can ask that question about Allosaurus is this quarry. So the fact that we're still growing that collection allows for really even research questions that we haven't even thought of yet to actually be able to be asked about Utah's state fossil.
Sure, and this is again, if you and I joked when we were talking earlier this week to arrange this interview that you said one of the conventional wisdoms that is often joked about is that we know a lot, but we know nothing.
Absolutely, yeah. I should quote our state paleontologist Jim Kirkland on that. I heard him say it one time, and it kind of stuck with me. And it actually is. It's true. Where just when we think we have this group or any other group of animals figured out in the fossil record, we come up with brand new methods to study them. Back in the 80s, for example, we never thought we would know the color of dinosaurs, for example. Dinosaurs are just a bunch of bones that are, discovered in the ground, and no soft tissue is preserved. We know sometimes, certain rare soft tissue is preserved, but then in the 90s, these amazing fossils started coming out of China with feathers preserved on some of the meat-eating dinosaurs. Folks started looking at the microscopic structures of the feathers and realized, well, these structures match up with the structures on modern bird feathers, so we can relate them to one another and say that dinosaur was red or black or a combination of multiple colors. And so, just a few decades ago, we would have never imagined that we would be able to put color on the flesh or on the feathers of dinosaurs. But here we are. So, so many opportunities that we haven't even imagined to address these animals in the future. So I'm excited to be a part of that and hopefully help lay the foundation for future people to look back at us and say, gosh, you guys knew nothing.
That's right. But slowly, we're always learning more, and to me, it's really fun to talk about this and to highlight the fact that so much of what we do know is coming from right here in Utah, from research that's being done, oftentimes in our own backyards, and that also as Utahns we have access to these museums and all of the dinosaur parks throughout Utah. It's just a real opportunity, and it's a pleasure for me to be able to spotlight it here on the show today. And Josh, I really appreciate your time doing this today. And you have to promise, though, if something new is discovered soon, you got to call us first, all right?
Okay, hey, I will do.
Break it here on our airwaves.
We've got a few new things that are going to be coming out over the next 2 years, so I'll definitely reach out.
I'm excited. That is... get out and enjoy these. The museum side and the visitor side of the Cleveland Lloyd Dinosaur Quarry and the Jurassic National Monument include, of course, the museum building there with some cool displays and great signage, but also a pretty cool trail system that actually gets you out into the quarry a bit so you can see what it would be like to actually be a paleontologist doing this research. It's an amazing and very cheap vacation for a Saturday afternoon. Not a long drive from Provo, to be honest with you. So please check it out. Our guest again, talking about the Cleveland Lloyd Dinosaur Quarry at Jurassic National Monument's new partnership through Utah State University's Eastern Prehistoric Museum with the Bureau of Land Management. They will serve as the center point for fossils recently collected, their curation, and their preservation for future generations of researchers. It's an amazing thing, and again, right here in our own backyard. So thanks again to our guest today, Josh Lively, Curator of Paleontology at Utah State University Eastern. And Josh, again, thank you for your time.
Oh, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Oh, it's been our pleasure. And again soon. And for our listeners, stick around. Coming up in hour 2 of today's show with the convention out of the way and, signatures gathered already. We knew a primary was coming, but it's coming up sooner than you think. We'll revisit our conversations with both State Representative Carrie Ann Lisenby, the challenger in this 2nd Congressional District race, but also the incumbent, Congressman Blake Moore. We had a chance to speak with them both in the weeks leading up to convention. We'll revisit those conversations. We will have them join us here on the show in person, hopefully multiple times between now and the June 23rd primary date. But these conversations we had with them ahead of convention really kind of lay out exactly where both of the candidates are coming from, and because of recent headlines, are actually even more timely than they were when we first had the conversations. I kind of love it when that happens. So revisiting our conversations with both State Representative Carrie Ann Lisenby up first, she won the coin toss, and Congressman Blake Moore ahead of the June 23rd primary. That's coming up next here on KVNU Logan in hour 2 of today's show. And stick around. We've also got a little bit of fireworks happening in this primary. We'll talk about it all next here on KVNU Logan.
When it's happening in Washington, when it's happening on Wall Street.
That's the reason why we're going to continue, because I believe there is a cause here.
News Talk KVNU Logan.